Alrighty guys, welcome back in the bottom left corner of Entombed Valley. You know him very well. He's on Team Prime. It's going to be Creator as your red Protoss player. In the very far top left corner from Western Wolves, the purple, light pink, Sting.
Yes.
The fingerprints, man, throw me off on this desk. But it's all good. Yeah, Sting here, man. Last game he went for a very aggressive strategy, of course. He followed up into an 11 racks and followed up into Proxy Marauders. For the most part, didn't do as much damage as he would have liked.
Right.
He had some decent strategy there. I mean, the Zealot going to his opponent, or to his natural, of course, allowed him to take out some Stalkers and kill off a couple of probes. But Creator, his gateway control, just too darn good. I want to see Sting play a macro game. He can. He's done it before in the past. In fact, he used to be a very macro-oriented player. It's just as of late, he's gotten really aggressive.
Yeah.
So I want to see him play a little bit more of a mid-game aggressive and start off early with just some macro play.
He actually performed, I thought, very well against Leenock I shouldn't say last week, but the last time we had Fight Club in macro games, he actually
that's hard.
Won a couple of those. Yeah, Leenock is a ridiculous player, can just
good.
slaughter you with endless waves of aggression towards the mid and late game. But in this case, I agree with you. Even though I would like to see Sting play that more macro style right now, be rest assured this isn't the last time, that wasn't the last time that we're going to see him be aggressive.
Yeah, very true here. So with the probe scout on the way, Creator's going to go find out what exactly Sting is up to. Notice first game he didn't actually send out a probe. This game he's actually sending one out, being a little bit more careful here. And from here he's going to be able to see Sting actually going straight for a command center first. So look at the polar opposites here. He went for an 11 racks last game into a Proxy Marauder, and now he's going to be falling up straight into another command center. I just love the versatility that comes from Sting.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did last week too when it wasn't 11-11 racks. It was basically as macro intensive as he could possibly make it. So obviously have clued into his play style. Very nice control so far out of Creator, just playing Ring Around the Rosie, regenning a little bit of shields and getting back in and stealing another point of damage on this SEV over and over again. Because even if he causes it to stop for just a couple of seconds, then it's certainly worth it. In fact, that SEV's down to just 5 hit points.
This is always a fun mini game, just trying to snipe that SEV. I love doing it as Zerg, and whenever you get that kill, like, you feel so confident going into the game. But this bro is actually doing a lot of harassment damage. If he cancels it a third time, look at this. He's actually wasted about 15 seconds, I believe.
Yeah.
With these pull-offs, and Sting finally hopping back on there, and behind this, he's followed up with his own Nexus here. So, and he's actually falling up into his gas afterwards. So he's going to be on a pretty decent spot as well, because he did go to the racks first. But it's going to be all good because he's actually been harassing this command center forever.
I actually counted there for a second, and he successfully delayed the construction of the command center by 11 seconds. So that alone is worth it. And pulling all these SEVs and doing damage, Creator's multitasking is just great right now. And of course, he did the very telltale thing that happens with a lot of Protoss players is right now, in fact, Sting's going to have to worry about this Zealot here, which is going to charge up the ramp. Not going to do too much damage, of course. We're just going to see some SEVs pulled, but, well, manages to catch an SEV. Unlucky that it popped towards the bottom as it finished constructing that.
How sick is Creator? He almost, you just barely got to that command center in time to that Zealot got one hit on the SEV. That command center would have been delayed for another, what, 10 more seconds?
Yep.
Just barely missed it. But now he's actually in the natural, going to be able to prevent actually any SCV production on that command center for a while. So that's always a nice little win in itself. And he's actually gotten Sting to fall up into a double Rex. And it looks like he's actually fall up into 2 more at home. So he's going very Marine heavy here. And this is what Sting does. He gets very, very Marine heavy, and he tries to prevent any type of like Stalker, Blink All-Ins, or anything that's like really aggressive in the middle of the map for Protoss, and tries to keep them at their natural for a while. We actually had a game against Grubby at IEM where we had a Blink Stalker All-In happening, and the control from Sting was fantastic when it came to Marines. So keep an eye on his Marines.
Yeah, and I know it sounds like we've been lauding the accomplishments of Creator so much during this game because of his harassment and stuff like that, but he's played this game really intelligently. As soon as he scouted, in fact, the exact second that he scouted the command center first, he immediately cut all of his gas, didn't throw any of the probes on there and things like that, started saving up towards the Nexus, delayed that enough and contained his opponent enough that he was actually able to get, despite the fact that he had already advanced into his tech tree with the gateway, with the Zealots, with the eventual cybernetics core that was going to be put up, a faster saturated natural base after all of that. So very cool stuff out of Creator.
Creator showing us why he took second place at World Championships, man. Just showing that he is on top of his game. Now, it looks like he has followed up, if I look at the production tab correctly, into a 3 gateway into a Robo. This is very standard safe play from Protoss. Expect potentially even a quick Twilight cancel. I want to see what he's going to follow up with, because if he goes double forge, he always goes into Robotics Bay and then gets Twilight cancel. Oh, going to get a Stalker caught here. It's very low on HP here. And it will go down. And this is what Sting does. He sits in the bushes, Like he's oh my
Guerrilla
God, I was
warfare.
talking about League of Legends for a second, but he's a Teemo basically. He just sits there and he takes out units here and there. But look at the amount of Marines he has here. His macro is impeccable. He's constantly producing SCVs and just goes with pure Marine, and that's fine. It's all minerals for him, and as long as he engages correctly and has decent cost-efficient trades, he's good.
Speaking of champions of the bushes in League of Legends, and we were, how does Cho'Gath hide there? That's what I want to know. When he's massive and he's just sitting, how does he hide in the bushes? They're like a third of his height.
He cheats. There goes that Stalker. You see the Observer.
Very nice.
Sick. Sick awareness there, immediately taking away the Observer right away, and that really hurts Creator for a while. He's actually going to go ahead and follow up into another Observer here, which is going to slow down any Immortal production he wants to go for, or of course Colossi if he makes another one after this. So the Marines are pushing forward, and SCV's in the way to try and buffer, makes that micro a tad bit harder for Creator. Creator's doing a pretty decent job actually in terms of getting Marines taken out, but he's losing a lot of HP and shields, and the Marines just moving forward. Zella is going to be on top of the Marines as well, and gosh man, Sting is just up in his face.
Yeah, no kidding. Unfortunately, we talked about the fact that he likes to all in on very hurt units. Couldn't quite get it on the last Stalker there, but still does a little bit of damage, sets his opponent back for a while. Now, Sting was actually pulling more SCVs behind this, so he was planning on completing those bunkers and doing a little bit more damage than he actually did. Behind all of that, though, he's decided to go after +1 weapons, stim, that's all pretty standard stuff, delaying that factory until just the second.
So Creator actually supply blocked himself because he was really afraid of that engagement, and he's actually slowed down his Colossi production here. So that's kind of painful. He's just going to go ahead and say, you know what, I'll transition into my third, and then I'll follow up into a Colossus once my pylon's fallen up. So that's a nice choice by him, but it slowed down his production a little bit, so that's something to note. A little bit flustered, it seems, when it came to actually keeping up with the pylon production. But Observer does get a full scout on it, and he's seeing everything that's going on in the main.
Yeah, and he's got a pretty good hold on this, and he knows that his units are plenty capable of holding whatever Sting would throw at him at the moment. So a pretty good decision to go after that earlier third, despite the economic problems that actually forced him into it. It's going to end up working out. I wouldn't necessarily say in his favor, but he's making the best of that situation. As he's successfully on 3 gates, his Twilight Council is going to be finishing up in nice time for him to start working on 2-2 and Blink at about the same time.
Yep, Twilight Council in the way as well, as you mentioned. So it looks like we're going to go ahead and let's check out Sting. Let's look at his main and natural. I'm trying to get a feel for what he's trying to go for here. How many racks does he have? He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a factory, and he's falling up to his starport. So it looks like he just wants to go for that. Actually, the play he did in game number 1, it's going to be actually a good minute and a half quicker because he didn't go for any proxiness. But a couple Marauders or a couple of Medivacs pop out and get some aggression onto his opponent. The thing is, 1-1 is already done for Creator. He's been chrono boosting that thing out like crazy. For the most part, he should actually be able to engage pretty nicely. He's actually getting Zealot charge legs as well, and that's really nice against like kiting Marines and Marauders. So I think Creator's going to be okay, and he has his third established as well. I don't know, this push for Sting might not be as strong as he would want it to be. Yeah,
this is going to be kind of weird too, because we can see that Creator's actually already transitioning in tech. He's done that fun trick, which is produce the 1 Colossus without range and then immediately switch into Charge Lot and Storm or Charge Lot Archon right afterwards, and that certainly can throw a Terran player off, and it has. We already have the second starport being thrown down, so Sting goes right back into that triple Viking production that we saw before. Those are essentially going to be dead weight. Oh, you killed my 1 Colossus that I have there. Well, here's a million Charge Lots and 5 Archons to follow that up.
Gosh, I just love Creator's ability to read the game. Game number 1, like you mentioned, we saw Sting do that immediately into a second starport, just try to kill him with a number of Vikings here. And those Vikings are going to be useless, as you mentioned, against Storm. I mean, they just sit there, and they don't really do that much DPS. In fact, if I created that many Vikings, I would just go ahead and go for mineral harassment, because it'd be more important there in that area than actually in the engagement. But it looks like Sting's pushing out, and his medevacs are following as well. Observer will spot all this, so we should have a warp in from Creator very soon, and his charge just finished up. He's in a good position to hold this.
At the very least, Sting is going to be able to see this Archon at a time when hopefully he won't queue up another 3 Vikings right afterwards and start moving back into Medvac production, maybe put down... I mean, it's obviously not going for a third base. Yeah, okay, so starting with those Medivacs again, so he knows that it is a little bit of a fake out. And that's a good decision from him to turn around. Now, I wonder if this is actually going to be still threatening in the middle. I wonder if he's going to turn around to a 3rd command center soon, or if he's just going to do another big bio SCV pull.
I don't know. I think he's going to be pretty far fine. What's his upgrades right now? He doesn't have any upgrades, does he?
1. I think plus 1 weapons.
Okay, so he has 1-0, and he hasn't followed up with anything else as well. I feel like it's just going to be another all-in, because it's too late for a third already. 2-2 is about to finish up for Creator. Unfortunately, I don't think he knows that quite yet, but he's going to go ahead and engage, and he does have the Colossi in a decent position. And he's coming around the bottom right side. He's got the army effectively split in half, but it's still really hard to run straight into that third. But he's going to go ahead and do it with a few units here. Zealot's coming in from the side, as well as a Colossi coming on the top.
Yeah, no Storm was finished up either, and it looks like this Colossus is actually going to die pretty quickly, so it's mostly just going to have to worry about the charge lots. We'll actually select them so we can see their number as they continue to decrease, but 2-2 was not finished at the beginning of this engagement, still a few seconds away. Finally, +2 weapons finishes up, but most of the units were actually killed by then, so Sting, that was pretty much his best moment to try the strategy that he was going with, but now that 2-2's done, if Creator's able to stabilize, it's going to make any subsequent follow-up to this very difficult for Sting.
Yeah, did he lose his medevacs there? I actually didn't see if they got sniped or not, and it looks like he's only, he's only got 2 on the field, so he lost his medevacs. If he retained his medevacs, I think he might have been okay, but with the medevacs being lost, suddenly Sting is going to be very low on HP overall. He just won't be able to sustain any damage, really, and he's already got 3-3 on the way. Creator, stop it. Stop playing this strategy here. And there's no third command center on the way either, and Sting is so far behind. This start's finished up. Checking into the units tab really, really quick here.
Yeah.
We're at 69 to 52, so Creator ahead on all fronts. Upgrades, army composition, in my opinion, and then, of course, just pure economy.
Yes, and Creator is in a perfect position now. He's already shown that he has Colossus tech available, that he has the Templar tech available, so now he can switch between them at will. And Sting's not really in a position where he can just adapt to one or the other. If he decides to commit into Vikings, then it's everything else is going to hurt him. But if he decides to move into Ghosts, well, how can he economically support the transition into that when he's already struggling to make whatever he can right now?
Yeah, very, very true here. The only thing I can hope for Sting here is, I don't know if you saw Bomber versus Creator, actually. It happened at IPL 5. But Creator just got a little bit out of position with his units and didn't respond accordingly. And he actually just got killed off by 3-4 drops. There was 2 medevacs, I believe, on each drop. And if you just, multitasking is fine, but that's Bomber. Bomber, like, when his dropping goes into play and he's on fire, he'll destroy people. But I'm looking at Sting here still, and he's just massing. That's what it seems like. He's massing his composition from the early game and not really trying to evolve. And unfortunately, he can't evolve, like you said, because he just doesn't have the economy to support it. I'm scared for him.
But who does? Creator. And he's going to go to a 4th base here in just a second. And he still has plenty of minerals left, even inside of his main. His natural chugging along. His 3rd almost completely full. So things are looking absolutely great for our Protoss player at this stage of the game. Sting was trying to run around with a little pack of units, and they actually get charged down right away. I think he actually may have killed a pylon that was sitting here in the top right-hand corner, which is where those units were coming from. But still, he has quite the uphill battle in front of him. Looks like he's going to make his way down right now. I don't believe he's pulled his SCVs quite yet. We'll see if they end up coming in behind.
Well, he does have a Colossi very quickly there. Zealot's going to be chasing back, and he's doing some nice jobs of kiting here. The charge lots actually use their ability right away, and we're stuck just kind of in the way. And Sting actually making a chase here. +1 army is about to finish up. The Zealots do charge back and out, and they're going to go ahead and engage right away. There is a decent amount of medevacs, but the actual Archon there does a lot of damage.
That's right. Even those medevacs did end up getting killed very quickly. But 3-3's done now for Creator. So looks like Sting is actually going to find a way to win that engagement in the middle of the map. But look at this behind this. Already another 8 Zealots being warped in at a time. Colossi being added on. Another one's finished up. And all the while, this is basically all the resources that Sting has left. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled a few SCVs for his next attempt.
Jeez, man. Well, we're going to go ahead and push forward here. There is a lot of weak Marauders here. Marines in the yellow as well. Gonna go ahead and grab the Vikings a spot on top of that high ground. Wants to see if his opponent's becoming that way. He will get a free Nexus actually out of this if he charges forward and he kites around it. I don't want him to sit there. He's gonna go ahead and just stem and run on back and charge him head on.
Yeah, and that's pretty rough. I mean, he lost his Vikings right away. He didn't kill any of the Colossi. The charge lots themselves were able to deal with the Bioforce without any of the supporting units behind, because the Vikings' attention was purely on the Vikings, or the Stalkers' attention was purely on the Vikings, but that's it. That's GG. Creator takes his 2nd game in a row, very convincingly, too. Sting needs to come up with a little bit different strategy.
Yeah, I'm just really curious as to why he's trying to all in all the time. He's going for really aggressive timing pushes that are fine if your opponent doesn't chrono boost out his forge, but that's what Creator does. I mean, Sting should know that. Like, everyone in the world knows that. We're commentators. We don't even play the game that much, and we know that. So Sting needs to be trying a different route, a different approach. Double Engineering Bay will be fantastic, I think, against Creator. Just gives them Morpha and TVP. If you don't have equal upgrades, of course, Terran's going to lose every time. Protoss will actually beat him out, so...
All right.
We'll see.
Well, we're going to go ahead and run to a commercial break. And when we get back, game number 3 is going to be played on Antigua Shipyard. Now, a lot of people have been asking us lately, are you guys going to switch up your map pool? Is that going to change? I know it's been a hot topic with a lot of people lately as Pro League has introduced some very crazy, wacky new maps and stuff like that. And yes, we actually are going to change quite a bit. We had a pretty long meeting about it this morning to discuss the first couple of stages of that. Takes a little time for us to roll out those sorts of things. Kind of like this awesome ticker that you see right underneath you right now. How sweet is that thing, by the way?
Pretty epic, man. It's pretty cool. It looks ESPN-esque like. But yeah, we're definitely working on the maps. I mean, Kibbles and I were playing on a few maps earlier, Fruitland and Starry Night. They're just like maps that the map makers are using. And Starry Night seems pretty cool. Fruitland could use some work when it comes to Zundogs and whatnot, but we're definitely trying them out. We're going to try and get you guys some maps as soon as possible. So.
All right. Well, we're going to run to a commercial break. And when we get back, we'll read some responses from what sort of players that you would like to see on IPL Fight Club in the future. It can be anyone who has played in the past, as we are starting to restart players now. Obviously, it couldn't be Sting or Creator, and I'm not sure who the challenger is for next week against one of these guys either. But in any case, we are going to run to a commercial break. We'll read those responses. You can tweet those at us, at Kevinaki, at Robin Tivo. We'll be back after this.